Hey there. So today we have another Denver update. This is day 5. So day 4 already felt terrible. Didn't get out for lunch until late afternoon. Day 5 was even worse. Let me tell you that. Day 5, everybody checked out by 11, before even 11 o'clock. Their flight was like at around 11. I somehow decided to, despite having no Airbnb, to have my flight at midnight. So I'd literally have like 12 hours of Denver just to pull an extra day out of Denver. And man, I woke up sick. I try to be good, you know. What then? Again, the night before I had like a flight, a 3% beer, a 7% IPA, a drink or two after that, like in like 12 hours, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's like, I mean, you're on vacation, people do tend to drink on excess, but for me, in like 6 hours, that's like, fair. Man, I mean, I tried to go to sleep like somewhat past midnight, went all the way, tried to sleep as long as I could till like, 10:30 before I had to check out. And man, I felt like trash. That was the worst day I've ever had. What it is, I think it's like A, I didn't drink enough water. B, it just caught up to me. I'm older, and just every drink just feels like it was like 2x, like, like it was 2x. Like, God forbid if you had to drink IPAs, liquor, cocktails, wine, pastry salads. Like, I just can't imagine how you do that at like 5,000 feet elevation. Then again, I'm personally sensitive, I feel. I've only lived at sea level for my whole life, but I remember as a kid, I used to get altitude sickness. So, and seasickness too. So I was destroyed. I felt like trash. So I literally just sat there at the Airbnb until the cleaners came at noon, and just like dying. I was like, it felt so sick. But great news. Like, literally my savior of the entire trip and the most enjoyable part of my trip was John, of Watermint Brewing. So Sam, his brew partner, dropped off some beer and like hung out for a little bit on Friday, like the first night, or sorry, Thursday, the first night I actually got to Portland. John was available that day. He actually like took like an early day off work, and like at 1 o'clock he was like, "Hey man, let's like meet up." So he's actually met me before. Crazy world. Like, he actually met me before in Randolph when I worked in Lower East Side in Manhattan. But again, the highlight of the trip, like it's so much beer. So much about beer is, and craft beer specifically, is about like friendship and awesome moments. And like, I just felt like trash that day, but he was nice enough, just like, hey man, I'm just gonna like hang out, like, because if it were for that, I don't know what I've done, just being sick and just like, So first place we went to, got some food. I took like little sips of some beer. Went to New Image. I believe they're in Aurora. No, 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 not Aurora. They're somewhere. New Image. So they're outside of Denver. They are the hazy style brewery. Like, they're like whole menus, like other half. It's like all hazies, blah blah. Making some tasty IPAs. West Coast beer was tasty. East Coast or New England style beer was very tasty. We hit that up. Had some beer, had some food. Boom. On to next stop. So after that, we went to Crooked Stave. I didn't actually get to go there, so it's like north of Denver, and fun, tiny little tap room, but they are so influential, like so crazy to see. They have just vintage like bottles just sitting there, and like the bottles that I remember that no longer make, right? Like beers that I remember from like 8 years ago, like the Evil Twin collabs and like Surratt and Saint Bretta and like all this cool stuff, and like it's all available. But they also just have like wicked tap list of like the macros, or not the distribution beers that they share, that they spread out, but also like a lot of delicious sour beer. So I rocked a flight there, and yeah, start feeling better. Like, we're drinking water, we're trying to like, hang out, and we're like taking it easy. And then we go all the way actually out to Golden, Colorado, which I would never seen. Like, I would never seen the mountains and how like arid and dry Colorado is actually in that area. It's like mountain dry. It's like mountain desert is what like our Denver area is. But you see a wicked long, kind of like mile long Coors factory, and then we went to Cannonball Run, right? Cannonball Run. Small brewery that I literally have never heard of, but they have like on their walls like 8 GABF medal winners, like 5 World Beer Cup winners, Just like super amount of insane accolades. But talking about that brewery, we're talking about like low ABV beers that are just like super clean and crisp. I would have like I had a flight and I would have guessed every single one was like some version of an hopped lager. Like they were all so crystal clear, like perfect, pristine quality, as if they had like a centrifuge and like all the equipment to make beer crystal clear. Every beer was super light, so they're using like all the light malts. But this is a really nice focus that I sort of noticed in the our mutual friend beers, that where it's like pristine focus on your beer, where it's like drinkable. Well, these beers are lower ABV anyway, but just like drinkable, hoppy, and just like crisp, and just like there's a laser focus on like here, this is what we're gonna execute at light body and like lightness. Like there's a levity to the beers versus like instead of chunky, wider spectrum beers. These like tightly focused, kind of like like magnifying glass on a beer kind of thing, where I guess those beers will really sell well or do well in competition. So they absolutely crush it with the beer. Beautiful scenery. And it was just great. Like, at this point we're like hanging out and like we're 5-ish hours into hanging out. And like, I'm talking about like 2 flights and a couple little pours, like really moderate drinking water. And like, it's really fun. Like if I had to do that, like my plan was like, hey, maybe I'll visit some breweries, I'll do some other stuff. I personally could sit there with a flight and just like finish it in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then I have to order more beer, right? Like, I have to do something, right? Versus like conversation's so great. And like, the crazy thing is like, so talking about John again, he's trying to open a brewery in Denver. He's looking at like contracting / nomad brewing some brews. And if you told me blindly, hey man, like you've only met this person once before and you're going to have to hang out with them all day, like good luck, right? But like it worked out. We were just geeking out and like conversation kept rolling, and like it really makes beer fun. Like I've literally met John once, and he's not like a personal friend of me before I met him, and just conversation flowed. We literally like, the beer wasn't the conversation was the conversation, right? Like the beer wasn't the thing to be there for. It was about just hanging out and like chit chat and industry. Like it's, again, the highlight of my trip. So Cannonball Run, we rock it out. We drive back into Denver. Now we're in Arvada, so a suburb of Denver. And I think it's called like Fire on the Mountain. Little kind of like beer bar wing place. Fantastic wings. Highly recommend that place. And then also on Mondays, they do $4 beers. So like half price on like certain beers. Great pricing. You got to hang out with a bunch of regulars there too, or that he knows in like, obviously John's like been in the industry. He's been in the industry too, but also, craft beer enjoyer guy. So like, no matter how big your city is, and like including a place like New York, if you're in the circle, you're gonna run to people that the people we see the same places, same people at the same places. So really cool hanging out. Had some wings, had a couple beers, and then all of a sudden it's like 10 o'clock, and like he's like, all right, I'll drop you at the airport, and my whole day's gone. And that is just a perfect day for me. From waking up to be unbelievably sick, not wanting to do anything, not being able to fathom the fact that I would have to just be on the streets for like 10 hours before my flight, or even longer, like 11 hours before my flight, and being able to be shown multiple places, being able to show some awesome breweries that I would never have known about or seen, had some delicious food, and had a great time. Like, again, if I just threw you somebody, hey man, you're gonna have to hang out with this person that you've never, barely have ever met for 10 hours, good luck. I think a lot of people would find that like objectively ambitious and like, but instead had just the most amazing time. And it honestly makes me like really like, heavy. Like think about like, this is why the channel's so amazing. And like, again, John, I'm sure you're watching this. If we lived any closer, I'm sure we'd just hang out more. Like it'd just be great. And another small more thing, he actually used to live in Orlando. Like he actually lived in Orlando up to like about like a decade ago or something like that, maybe less than a decade ago. So we were like talking about all the small things, like little things that we already know about from Orlando. And it's really crazy, but just amazing time. Really the highlight of the trip. Really made my trip a lot more enjoyable, because that last day could have been absolutely horrific. And great times, great memories. And it's not about the beer, it's about the conversation. and just it's a really nice kind of like way to seal up the trip. But yeah, so I'll have to come back to Denver sometime maybe, but I don't know, man. That drinking just scares me. Like the end all be all about it all. If you had that lesson, is that I just don't know how you guys drink it up there. Like maybe just not used to it, but like I was responsible at best, averaging a beer an hour, drinking 4 to 5% beers, 3 to 5% beers, and just got wrecked. And I'm going to sleep like not even staying up late because all my friends were like smoke the green, and they're done by midnight. Like we don't even stay out late till 2 a.m. Like I was the one having a couple of drinks after that, and in New York, I'm used to staying up till like 4 or 5 a.m. Right, and nope, couldn't do that. So, what a weird place. Prices are pretty good on beer. The food's fantastic. The beer is absolutely amazing. Be careful. Check out the low ABV stuff. Thank you, John. Great trip. Don't get sick. Take care of yourself. Until next time, guys. Cheers later.